Hey friends, this is JB with Cyber Christ and Country. And we have another exciting episode today. We are talking about personal data, personal information, private data. Doesn't that sound exciting? We can make it exciting, my friends, because look at right here. If you look at the Norse threat heat map, you're seeing China attacking the US. You're seeing Iran attacking the US. You're seeing everybody attacking the US. And this is a real time picture of what's going on. You will see that there's different IP addresses, different states or member states of the EU, UAE, Arab Emirates, China, always attacking. And you can see there's a visual representation of what it means. Who's attacking who? Now, what are they attacking? What are they attacking? They are attacking the government targets. They're attacking people. They're attacking people's private information, and that's why it comes down to what we're talking about today when it comes to private information. We want to understand what is private information. What are we talking about? Well, your private information is the information such as your name, address, and phone number. That's part of it. Part of it is that right there. Now the other part is some of the other habits that you have, okay? Some of the habits that you have maybe on, let's just say, Facebook, could be any social media. And you're like, JB, how is it possible that that's all private information? Well, let's talk about it. We have Facebook, who monitors who you are and what age you are and what type of they ask for all sorts of private information, your birth date, what other kinds of information, what other information besides that is, that's the key and the most private information you have. But what are some other things that they monitor that's private? Well, they wonder and observe what type of underwear you shop for. If you're shopping for underwear, they're going to be monitoring that. You're like, JB, this is ridiculous. How can they tell if I'm shopping for underwear? Well, when you go to the underwear store, the online underwear store, and you start clicking on it, it goes into your browser. That information gets baked into your browser. It's called what they call it's a cookie, okay? It's kind of like a little parasite actually that they attach to you. And when you go back to Facebook, Facebook all of a sudden acknowledges, you were looking at underwear and you're looking at pink underwear or blue underwear, whatever kind of underwear. You've got a you've like underwear with spikes on. You like underwear, tidy whitey underwear, whatever it is, they are looking for that and they know it and they can start to track it. So that way you get advertisements for the underwear that you were shopping for. All right. Now you may even have they may even understand your shoe size. Okay? If you are a certain person who wears a certain size shoe, you've been shopping for that, they know all of that information. They also track all the information you simply put in Facebook, okay? Now you're saying, well, as long as it's anonymous, as long as they keep the Facebook my profile anonymous from other people. Well, that may be true and may not be true. We're going to continue on, but what do they do with it? Well, one of the things that they do with your personal information is they correlate it. They correlate you with your friends, and they know your friends and what type of underwear they shop for. So they notice you shop for underwear. It's maybe pink underwear or blue underwear, and your friends are shopping for the same underwear, or they're shopping for the same shoe or the same shoe size. What they'll try to do is make a certain type of underwear popular and create a campaign to push it to, let's say, maybe it's young females. They'll say, well, young females love this new string underwear, G-string underwear, where it kind of rides right up the front. Maybe it's like a total U-string, so it's just a string that goes from back to front. Really don't do much, and maybe they start saying, "Hey, look, this is we want to push this because our fashion designers from Paris said that the new underwear is a piece of string running from front to back." Okay, for boys and girls. Who knows? And they'll push that. They'll know that you're searching for it and they'll try to keep pushing. And then pretty soon, repetition and through the marketing campaign that they launch, they'll start getting you to think that the new hot thing is to wear a piece of string in lieu of a normal piece of underwear, right? So that's called a marketing campaign, and they'll perform analytics to see if you click on it. Okay, they'll perform analytics in such a way that they'll find out based upon the different advertising whether or not you prefer blue themed advertisements or red theme advertisements or yellow or blue theme advertisements, such that the colors in the advertisements themselves will change based upon what Facebook typically sees you clicking on. So they do analytics to say, hey, JB, you've been clicking on blue, for example. You click on more blue things than you do anything else. So we're going to try to frame our advertisements in terms of blue. If we see you start clicking on orange things, we may start clicking on orange, or may give you advertisements with orange. So they will dynamically change their advertisements to not only based upon whatever you're clicking on. It could be colors, or it could be you may inadvertently click on the wrong advertisement. And I tell my kids this all the time. I say, hey, look, you may click on something, and if it's wrong or if it's inappropriate, you need to let me know. Why? Well, one, they should, but two is they can start getting repeat advertisements for something they inadvertently clicked on. Like they may have inadvertently clicked on something that says "click here," and then it launches even a porno site. It's so dangerous out there, and then all of a sudden they're getting porn advertisements through Facebook. All right, how are they manipulating you? How are they not manipulating you? Tell you what, friends, when it comes to private information, they are trying to determine whether you are conservative or liberal or neutral. Whatever that means, that whatever that is, they try to target you to reinforce the ethos of certain political parties or ideologies. Those ideologies are funded by wealthy backers. Okay, if they think that you should be eating blue cheese and there's a wealthy backer of blue cheese, they will expend the money for a campaign to market their ideology of blue cheese eating. Or, for example, so have you ever noticed how they're reinforcing the idea of abortion? Seems like, I mean, is that even is that even a good thing? The idea of abortion, or calling it that? Should we even call abortion abortion? Or should we call it murder? Why are they keep reinforcing the idea of abortion, and why are they not reinforcing it as murder or manslaughter? If you want to tame it down a little bit, okay, continuously in terms of they typically, particularly abortion, but a lot of these so-called social justice rights or liberal or progressive rights. How do they frame things up? They frame things as if it's a fight for rights paradigm. Okay, what they've done is they've taken Martin Luther King and his strategy of mobilizing people, and sadly, they're mobilizing it for violence now. But the pictures of before were mainly pictures of people mobilized, and it's kind of like, but this was a peaceful thing back then. Interesting. In the past, Martin Luther King rather had a peaceful demonstration, and in fact, passive demonstration. Go ahead and hit me. You hit me on my left cheek, give me my right, whatever. And that's the example of Christ. Okay, that's the example of Christ, Martin Luther King. But now what they've done is now they have violence. Now they add violence to it. Here's what's interesting. Why do you think they show Martin Luther King ever so often? Ever so often you basically see Martin Luther King, okay, in a number of your posts, or you'll see it filter through. I mean, you could probably pick every one of 100 posts or every one in 200 posts, you'll see Martin Luther King reference, or if it's not 100 posts, it's like every month or so, you'll see a Martin Luther King. Well, they push that to reinforce the idea of this protest and mobilization. Okay, they'll do that to create a callback for either you or children who haven't really been there and done that. Like some of us, people who I know, they were part of the Martin Luther King movement, or they were sort of the next generation of it. Okay, and they're so much closer to the event that they know what it meant. But now children don't know. So what they do is they put the Martin Luther King out there, and then it's not to it's just not to it's not that they're advertising Martin Luther King. They're just putting a post up there, that a meme of some sort, and then what they do is they follow it up with a similar post of people mobilized. Okay, and it's not like, okay, here's Martin Luther King, one post, and the very next post you see other people mobilized. No, but what they do is they reinforce the mobilization with other people. Let's say it's abortion rights, and they see a bunch of people with seem to be mobilized with abortion rights sign, and it's like, well, Martin Luther King did it, and now here we're doing it. Or they'll try to couple the fight for racial equality with the idea of homosexuality being a safe and sustainable lifestyle. Okay, and they'll show them mobilized. And so what they do is they reinforce the concept of mobilization, and then they'll have a big financial backer who maybe has an ideology of some agenda, and they'll actually pay Facebook the marketing money, the money to start the campaign. They'll pay it to Facebook, and Facebook will let it rip. They're like, all right, let's say George Soros. You hear about this guy, or some other popular, Hillary Clinton, or some other type of big wheel. Could be a Republican or conservative or libertarian. Could be anybody. But what they do is they are paying Facebook for all of the marketing campaign and the people they're targeting. And they may be targeting people who are shopping for underwear like you. They may be saying, look, this is we found people who buy pink underwear typically want abortion rights. We need to reinforce that idea. Here, let's create this strategy. And they basically create this marketing campaign that could be over the course of months. And you don't even realize it, but you're like all of a sudden seeing more posts, and posts seem to be coming your way. Things get targeted to you, and all of a sudden you're feeling like this mobilization and this momentum of our culture and society is true and it's organic. Meanwhile, it's really been funded by someone else. And so your personal information helps them do the analytics to study on you to find out if you're a typical person who fits into their profile, or if you're one who's sort of on the fringe and they're trying to draw you back in. They have another case and situation for that. There's many. It's not just a one campaign all the time either. Sometimes it's a dynamic campaign, so that this is going to be going to these kinds of people, and they've done the studies. They found people who wear pink and blue underwear. They are on the fringe, but they can be reeled back in if they get reinforced with the idea of, let's just say, abortion or some other agenda. Okay, so that's the kicker. These nonprofit organizations try to even not only do they spend the money, because many of these big financial backers, they set up nonprofit organizations, and they're the ones that spend the money, the nonprofit organizations. Um, but the kicker is that these NPOs, nonprofit organizations, will actually be able to receive and accept their donations for whatever cause they have. So if it's like an abortion cause, they'll have like a click here to donate on the bottom. And so while it costs them a certain amount of money to launch this campaign, what they found is they can actually double and triple their revenue by not only reinforcing the idea, but even anchoring the idea in your mind. Because once you donate to a cause like that, it reinforces the whole ideology. Because no one wants to spend money needlessly. They do not want to put their economic engine into a black hole, okay? They don't want to do it. If you donate to something, that automatically reinforces the idea that you're even more part of the cause. You feel like you're part of the cause. So that even not only does it give them more money, but it even reinforces the campaign even that much more. Okay, if you get tricked into that. What are some tricks that they use? Okay, what are some technical tricks that they use? They've got tons of tricks. Well, I mean, what's the easy thing that, I mean, one thing is that it's so much easier to like things on Facebook, for example. Okay, Facebook is so easy to like things. You just got a big thumbs up. So it reinforces the idea that, um, if you like something, it's positive. There's a like button. I'm going to like. There's not an unlike button, though, is there? There's not an unlike button. And the like button reinforces an old salesman trick is get them saying yes and keep them saying yes. And then at the end of the sentence, what you're trying to do is, do you want to buy this deal? And they say yes. And it's like the sales trick in the book is to get them cognitively saying yes, 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 all these things, put them in that frame of mind, and they're just so much happier in an enlightened mood that they want to say yes to whatever deal you put at the end. It doesn't perfectly work like that, but it's such a simple thing, and that's what Facebook is doing. The other thing is that the only other negative thing you can do is in the comments section, you can add an emoji that's sort of a frown, but it really doesn't. It's not the same as a like, and it's not as obvious. Okay, I mean Facebook has really figured people out. They've suppressed the unlike, they've suppressed negativity or dissent from any kind of thing. So they just don't allow it, really. Yeah, you can put and post, right? But at a glance, it's very difficult. And people are doing more things by the glance than ever, okay? Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about private information. You are in the cyber age, my friends. Your private information is out there. Guess what's going on? Okay, what the New York Times is a organization I rarely go to, but it seems like they have the best information today on Facebook of their hack. 50 million users data at risk. Whoever thought that could happen? I've got to check Facebook now, see if I've been hacked. I have no idea. I've got to read this article, but in essence, they put all of your personal data out there, and guess what? Ever so often, isn't it interesting? They get hacked. Okay. Oh shoot. My bad. My bad. Someone left the back door open. You know how that goes. I mean, we locked the front door, but the back door was unlocked. And they got into our cyber garage, our digital garage, and they just took all of our stuff. Well, that's how it goes. Facebook hacked again. Facebook hacked again. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, your personal data is always at risk on these sites. Okay, they they continually um, hack people's information. There's even a thing where the Senate is personal data has been released by people. Okay, we have this all this up there with Kavanaugh. Whatever you agree on that, but they've had Republicans who have had their personal data. Let's search personal data. Control F. Personal data. Personal data released. Not seeing it here, but essentially they've had their personal data. Sent personal data. Ha, personal data released. I mean, it's such that you can't even really, you know, SC, and I guess I spelled it wrong, but what happened was is the someone in the government released Senate personal data. Okay, and that's totally illegal, you know. So what they did is they weaponized people's personal data. Why? Because then they can have and hire these people to come and find out where you exactly live and go ahead and shout in front of your house. Okay, you got your guns on the inside. They've got fools on the outside. They want to come in, you want to shoot them, right? I hope so. I hope that's not the case, and I hope you're safe. But I hope you have some protection too, because people are weaponizing personal data. You don't think like they do? Guess what? They're gonna send a bunch of hecklers over to your house and harass your wife and kids, or harass your husband, or harass your cats and dogs. You know, they may. I don't know what they're gonna do. But if you don't agree with them, guess what? That's what they do. And that's not right. That's not right, and that's not what should be done. Okay, so your personal data provides a layer of protection. You know, when it comes to who you are, where you are, and what you think, and what you want to be released. Okay, you know, here's where it is. Here's the story. Republican senators doxxed by Wikipedia by having someone from House Representative after cabinet. So that's basically means personal information of Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Orrin Hatch were posted by an unknown person located in the House of Representatives on Thursday. House of Representatives. Someone on the inside has actually posted these men and their living. And you may be like a radical person looking right now because you're just interested in what is personal data, and this is the best channel to understand what cyber is. You are in the digital age, everyone. So whether or not you're a kook or whatever, you're here and you're like, "Oh, I don't like these people. You know, I don't like these Republican people, these conservatives are all evil." Well, you know what? I tell you what. You may think that, but there may be a time when someone thinks you're evil. And tell you what, doesn't matter if it's the Republican or it's the other side, evil will be coming after you. And the best protection you have is having some control over your personal data. You know, well, with the government, you really can't, but at least you can try to. Create somewhat of a buffer between you and the mad public out there, or the mad whoever. Okay, you wouldn't want Trump knocking on your door if you're a kook, right? Hey, kook, you wouldn't want Trump knocking on your door, weaponizing your personal information. So you wouldn't want it done to other people too, whatever you agree with. Okay, so I tell you what, that is huge when it comes to personal data. Facebook hacked. Okay, you know, I've almost come to tell people that it's almost a rite of passage for a big company like Facebook to have a gigantic hack. And it's almost a rite of passage to do it every couple of years or so. Say, oh, we've been hacked again. Guess what? Your personal data has been gone again. All right. I'm not even too terribly worried about it for myself because I've already been hacked by all of these credit reporting agencies. All right. All of these, you know, what is it, Equifax, who got hacked. You know, I've been hacked already, being in the top federal government, working on top cyber things, and my contract information has already been hacked. You know, public records have been hacked. All right, already. I already know this. I've been hacked, so you know I try not to just. I try to roll with it. Okay, you know I try to be a little bit public person. I may not be put my face right here, but I'm not afraid to do so. Because guess what? All this stuff gets weaponized. We're not, I mean, we just started talking about the weaponization of your personal data from our own internal moles inside the government. But what about China? Guess what China's doing? They're hacking it too. They're consuming this information and they're creating large repositories. This hack has probably came from China. All right, quite likely, or perhaps Russia, or Iran, or you know possibly U.S. government. Who knows? But I tell you what, my friends, this is the cyber age. You are in the cyber age. This is about personal data, and I hope you got something out of this. If not, you better re listen to it because all this is going down right now. And if you don't start to think about it in terms of why it's important to you and what's the cost of doing it, and etc., then you are going to be facing, you know, The piper is coming to pull you in. I tell you what. Now, guess what? Tomorrow's episode is going to be about the risk of having privacy controls. You're like, well, JB, on the one hand, you're saying privacy is important, and on the other side, you're saying the controls that people are trying to put in place, the legislation of personal private data protection, can even be a problem. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It could be a problem, may even be a bigger problem when you talk about your digital garage, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that, your cyber garage tomorrow. My friends, we got a big episode tomorrow. Don't miss it. Stay tuned to Cyber Crisis Country, brothers. Be at peace. God loves you. Stay with them. Take good care, my friends.